Yo, hello everybody! Yo, hello. Wow, that's the way to start a video. Hello. So, I'm giving you the Cavalier cheat sheet. Yes, indeedy. So I've been working hard on the last, you can see like I'm totally scuffed. Over the last, say, I think it's like 12 hours or on this spreadsheet, because the Cavalier difficulty is a little bit more complex than you normally used to. At the end of the day, the ways to interact with this is a case of like, if you don't have the champions, you're going to have to find ways around it. This reminds me of the very early iterations of Cavalier difficulty. And, you know, I am the, I wouldn't say I'm the font of all knowledge when it comes to, like, Cavalier difficulty, but I definitely know, like, okay, there are some options, not necessarily with the normal kinds of nodes you kind of, like, go over. FYI, what the hell I'm talking about is what is in the link in the description, which is a Cavalier cheat sheet. This is available as Google Drive link, and as well there's going to be a kind of like a true link to what you can see on Discord, where it's like the Excel spreadsheet, which kind of looks like this. It's pretty well done. I'm pretty proud of like the work that I kind of like did to put it together. There are some notes about like ones I found particular MVPs, and also we're going to break this down. So you know, I appreciate everybody, but at the same time, you know, if you could just like give this video you know, a like, you know, just support the content that I'm putting out and stuff, that would mean the world to me if you could do that, because you know, this has not been a easy kind of put together. This has taken a good chunk of time, but you all are worth it and putting in the effort, and you know, you can take it, change it around, do whatever, make an infographic, it's up to you. But yeah, as I said, lots of effort, lots of work. Let's quickly go into it. So I want to make this as kind of like good and timely as possible to cover some of the relevant different points, and also kind of like, you know, get the points of these various different nodes. FYI, the champions on the left hand corner are not champions that I've been using. They're just there because I've been testing around some champions to take down certain content, which you can see more videos in the coming days. So yeah, kicking off with the first one, which is 1.1, and we have Short Temper, Powerful Objection, which is all about New Avengers, A-Force, or Fantastic Four base champions. And what they will do is gain a buff. Gaining that buff will help out against what you're going to see from the enemy champion getting a regeneration. So if you do not have a buff applied, the defender passively regenerates 1% of their max health. Now, I did do some testing of this with cosmic champions, and it's not just about going through and saying, oh well, that's a thing, let's just go and use some of the A-Force and other stuff ones, because you can also use other champions. So yeah, part of me testing, which is me there in the top, the bottom right hand corner, was testing Venom against this. So cosmic champions work. Also heal block champions or anti-regeneration champions work. So on screen right now you can see like this is the testing platform that I was doing, and you can see that I've got like buffs up and I'm not causing to trigger that regeneration in any kind of way. So it gives you options. It's not just about using, like, you know, as I said, like the champions that Kabam are kind of saying, oh, use these champions. It's just annoying because then it like takes away from the narrative of what Kabam are creating from the nodes. And this is the big problem that happened with the Variant 8 stuff. So it's kind of like Kabam do be silly when they do silly things like this. But at the end of the day, there are, you know, champion options for this. Mr. Fantastic with the pre-fight abilities. Do bear in mind, this month, Magneto as a champion assisting to get that passive stun is something to look out for. I've used that several times in some of the different bosses and also content. So do remember that White Magneto if you're kind of thinking about a passive stun. I've got to do a video on White Magneto and how you kind of like unlock stuff with rosters. But yeah, so for the first one, so for the first kind of like area, the first kind of like nodes we're going up against, it's not always about the champions mentioned, you know, those particular ones that are part of the hashtags, because you can also use the likes of Venom, Angela, Odin, Heimdall synergy. You know, if you've got Heimdall as a 3-star, you're getting a buff for champions. That means you suppress, so you could use any champion you want and still get benefits. The crossfight is the thing that's beneficial when you're going up against bosses to make sure you do more damage. But then, like, it's just one of these things about, you know, Kabam be kabam, you know, at the end of the day. Having the likes of Human Torch, if you got him, is good because he's able to suppress elements of healing and health, health generation. So also there's other champions who do heal blocks. You've got your Archangels, you've got Guillotine when she reverses. Warlock is an MVP, love using that champion. So yeah, there's that one quickly dealt with. Let's kind of like move on to the other difficult, the 1.2. 1.2 is all about defenders, thunderbolts, and inhuman attackers. Now, there's not really anything to worry too much about this one, and I think that because the biggest issue is that if you don't have any of those hashtags, you're essentially not going to get past a bar of power. In kind of like the problem is like every 4 seconds, the attack is inflicted with a power lock passive. For 6 seconds. If the defender is inflicted with a debuff, the timer is reset. Now, this is the thing. You could have some of those champions, those defenders, thunderbolts, or inhumans that cast any kind of like debuff. So if you've got like a regular debuff based champion, hey, thumbs up. And the likes of say Medusa, not Karnak, but kind of like there are different options there that kind of have regular easier rotations. If you have to build to a special attack to throw it, it's kind of like it takes away the speed momentum, and that's kind of annoying. You got your Howard the Ducks, you got your Luke Cages, you got all those. Namor is kind of like Namor is a good champion to kind of like use. But also there's other options. It's not just about those ones that you could take. I mean, for me, I would like the idea of using some like high damage rotational champions, and that's just the thing as well. You could use some of those, because that's not specific nature to that particular node. So like you don't have to have an so you don't have to have a defender, an inhuman, or a thunderbolt to do debuffs to gain the benefit of suppression of the power. So you need high debuff or quick to debuff champions. So Immortal Abomination, if you're just going for a block, you're kind of putting on a weakness. Nick Fury, Omega Red, Archangel, and Gwenpool, Blackwood of Deadly Origin, OG Black Panther, the list goes on. If you've got a champion that does quick debuffs or damaging debuffs, or even like you could even use Mr Fantastic with his abilities, crossfights and stuff, that you could just apply it on, or any other champion as well as part of Synergy Group. She-Hulk as well. This goes on with available options. Now in 2.1, this is all about Spider-Verse based champions. For this one, okay, so bit of a tough one with this one, because it is a case of looking at the fact of escalating assault. Every 6 seconds, the defender gains an unblockable charge, making their next attack unblockable. Right, this is the problem. Okay, so escalating assault. There's no further counters to this unless you've got something that can deal with unblockable charges. Again, making it very clear, unblockable charges, not buffs, charges, because that's the biggest thing as well. You could use stuff that interacts with that, like Mr. Sinister, Red Guardian. Maybe there's the only two that I can think about that can kind of like block those unblockables. This is where, again, those hashtag symbiotes, those Spider-Verse, and Sinister Six come into play. So I can't really kind of give any other suggestions apart from that, because it has to play into the nodes. Examples of this can be found from here, and this is the thing. I personally found Red Goblin to be an amazing champion. We've got we've got persistence, so the damage potential is just astronomical. You got Null recently added. Venom the Duck is another great option. There's Venom Pool. There are a whole host of great champions, not just in Spider-Verse. There's also a couple in Sinister Six, but Spider-Verse champions are going to be some great ones. Spider-Man 2099, again, another MVP. Loved using that champion in this one, and really kind of got me up to the boss with no problem whatsoever. So yeah, sorry there's no any kind of like alternatives, except for, as I said, off the top of my head, Mr. Sinister and Red Guardian. Now to 2.2. 2.2 has critically drained, power exchange, and especially energetic. And the thing is with this one, it's going to be a case of hashtag Avenger champions are the ones to go by, and there's some good hashtag Avengers champions that play into the narrative of what is the node that you either have Avengers with you in your grind or without. If you have them without, then it's a case you've got to work on. Whenever the defender uses a special attack, they gain an energized passive, increasing their combat power rate for 75%. So let's just say they're going to be gaining more power. What takes away more power is power control, and there are some power control options that you can consider for this. I'm not going too much to explaining like how these kind of like work with the hashtag like Avenger Champions, because it's just too extensive to kind of explain that. But in a nutshell, you know, just follow the instructions, which is you know, attackers gain power drain charges whenever they land a critical hit. So champions with a critical hit, you know, your Falcons, your Black Widow Deadly Origin, there's Cap Infinity War, there's Hawkeye, I think, as well, the new buffed Hawkeye. There's a whole host of champions. So I think the main thing is reading the nodes, and if you're not reading those nodes there, then you have to look at alternative options. As I said, especially energetic is where we need counters for it. Right, so especially energetic, I mean, you can see right here, there's loads of options for the hashtag Avengers, especially ones that, as I said, gain criticals pretty quickly. And when it comes to power control, it's just, if you've got a power control option, use it. If you've got Hawkeye, he is an Avenger, and he does power control off the SP1, use it. Doctor Doom, SP1, power control, use it. Magic, Nebula, you know, there's a whole host of any champion that you know. Age of Ultron, Vision, again, that's part of the hashtag Avengers. So there are loads of options to kind of like take that down and you know, create a good team around as well. Now we turn our attention to 3.1. 3.1 is a little bit annoying, especially because it's got this damn thing called Obstinate Charge. When a defender performs the first attack in any combo, the defender is stun immune. There's also Crimson Rage, which is every 8 seconds, the defender gains an unstoppable buff for 4 seconds unless they are suffering from a bleed debuff or passive when the timer expires. So the first thing, Obstinate Charge. Now, if you're annoyed about stun immunity, you can still passive stun. This is again where we said about White Magneto making a reappearance of being very, very handy to deal with that. If there's something you don't really kind of worry too much about, then there's the thing about how you deal with Crimson Rage. So how that unstoppable comes on. There are options to take this down, but again, it's down to a player's perspective of your options and how you feel like it's going to be of value, especially because the specific nature of the hashtag Mercenary can be like, well, do you do slow debuff? Do you do stagger? Do you do this? Is that how you deal with the incoming unstoppable? If you don't want to have like, you know, play into that hashtag Mercenary thing, I'll kind of go into like more detail and explain right now. So high bleed debuff champions could be the way to go with this. Gwenpool is definitely one of those. There are a few others, especially you can get that bleed effect coming in. I mean, you've got Hitmonkey, you've got Winter Soldier, you've got Moon Knight, you've got Sabretooth, you've got Deadpool X-Force, especially Awakened, very, very effective for that. But I personally didn't really enjoy any of those, and I decided to go for a different route. So my different route was the following, and that was to do slow debuff champions and stagger/nullify champions. I put a small splattering of champions here, but you can look to use whatever. Sorcerer Supreme is a double whammy and has the slow debuff and as well as able to kind of nullify and deal with those kind of effects. But if you want slow debuffs as well, She-Hulk, parry heavy, good rotations, Hawkeye, I think that's recently added on the heavy attack, Spider-Gwen, Stealth Suit Spidey, yeah, and then nullify champions. You know your nullifiers, but Doctor Doom, Sasquatch, and Stagger champions, sorry. Black Widow, Clairvoyant, Sorcerer Supreme, as we said. Symbiote Supreme, which I haven't added into there, but, you know, but I've put like any Mystic or Stagger champions will be able to suppress that Unstoppable, and that really kind of like leaves you to deal with the other effect of the stun immunity, which you can still use a passive stun. So if you've got White Magneto, boom, bash him out, and it's not going to help you the entire way because you will kind of go like, right, well, I can't use it, I'll run out of persistent charges, and that's fine. But then you've got to like go, okay, so I'll only have a certain amount, you know, if you get like 6 charges to start off with, then at least to say 3 fights of what is going to be like 5 fights, you're going to feel fine. 2 fights you'll feel rocky, and maybe you'll kind of like focus on a slow debuff champ. Don't know, you do you at the end of the day with how you take it on. And now we move on to our final one, which is Dodge, Duck, Dip, and Dive. Well, the Dimensional Beings, Illuminati, Thanos Army, that's the ones that you've got right there. The main thing that happens with this one is that the champion builds armor up. And that's the thing, how you deal with this is either going to be one of two ways: nullify, stagger, well, three ways: nullify, stagger, or armor break. Those are kind of your options right there. And there's some really good options in particular, like Corvus Glaive. If you kind of well-timed block, you do an armor break, so you kind of have Thanos army, so you get the kind of the node benefits, but also you kind of deal with the fact of armor if it's indeed coming in. And that's the thing to really say, because here it's in case you got the nullify 1 armor up buff on the defender whenever you when any hit from the defender's special attacks does not make contact with the attacker. I gotta be honest, I hate that, and I felt that the armor break option, stagger, and nullify were actually the better way to go with this. But that's just a personal opinion. I'm sure people will kind of like differ with that. That's why that Corvus Glaive is kind of like a great option. But yeah, loads of dimensional beings. Link in the description, as I said. Illuminati, like loads there. If you've got Doctor Doom with Mr. Fantastic, you do armor break and you do stagger. FYI, it's a great option. And then there's so many others, you know. I think I was trying like Hyperion with the SP2, but there's loads to do armor break. You know, there's a long list of armor break champions, to be honest. SP2 of Warlock. There's Medusa, Terrux. Terrux is solid for that kind of like rotation. And yeah, Hulkbuster with a heavy attack, Sorcerer Supreme, Symbiote Supreme, anything that does a. You know, we've mentioned it before, so there are options of taking this down. But yeah, that has been it. Link in the description down below. I've talked you through how the Cavalier cheat sheet works for December. It is very, very extensive because of the extent of, well, how this is. I've had a bit of fun with some of the quests, and especially figuring out and testing some options and some rotations. Apologies, it's taken a little bit long to make, but this has been no tall order. This has taken a long time to create this spreadsheet. And yeah, good luck to everybody doing the grind. It's not ridiculously bad, but it's not ridiculously helpful for those who want to establish a roster. There are some benefit ones, as we said, like, you know, different types of champion options to take on the content. And yeah, all I can say is really say is good luck. I'm sorry that, you know, some people do feel that this isn't you know, a good enough Cavalier difficulty, especially considering how they didn't really kind of tick any boxes from last month. But hey, on with the grind. The side event was alright though. In any case, thanks for watching. Check out some other content on the channel, which is located right now on screen. And I'll see you whenever I see you. Maybe one last video for today. Haven't decided. But I'll see you for some fresh news-based content tomorrow. Bye-bye.